Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the Between the Bases podcast. Today is a very special episode. We're shifting from baseball and we're talking about the New York Football Giants and how well they're going to do this year. And we're here with Justin Pinnock from John Boy Media. Justin, you think the Giants will do good this year?
Well, I certainly hope so. I certainly hope for my sanity. I certainly hope for talking Giants as a business, and I hope for all of our fandom that I certainly hope they are, and I think they will be. And I think they will be. First of all, I love that you said the New York Football Giants. That is the correct way, the correct pronunciation. They're not just the New York Giants; they are the New York Football Giants. So, fellas, I'm thrilled to be here. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
The Giants, well, last year they kind of had an easy schedule. I mean, that's what the Jets fans are going to tell you, that they had an easy schedule. They won a lot of one-score games. But you did see they beat up on the Vikings, and the Vikings were not really a good team. But I'm excited to see what Jones can do.
The Vikings, though. You said the Giants won a lot of one-score games. The Vikings led the NFL in that by a lot. So the Vikings, they won a ton of games, but a lot of them were close games. And also in the playoffs, the Giants didn't crush the Vikings, even if it felt like that during the game.
Yeah, about Daniel Jones. Do you believe in Daniel Jones? Do you believe that he is the answer to this team?
Yeah, I do. I think Daniel Jones throughout his career so far has been dealt a pretty bad hand. He still is waiting for really an above average offensive line. He definitely has an elite left tackle now in Andrew Thomas. And you've seen, when Andrew Thomas has played, that Daniel Jones has taken steps up with him. You've seen last year that when he actually has some sort of competent coaching and a competent play caller, and Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka, you've seen the steps that he's been able to take there. And now finally, even though this is year 5 and he has the contract, we're still looking for more out of Daniel Jones. It's not an ideal world, but it's the world that we're in because of kind of the bad hand that he's been dealt between the coaches, the bad personnel, the bad offensive line, and things like that. So now he finally has at least some semblance of weapons. The Giants are obviously still missing that wide receiver one, but they traded for Darren Waller. The wide receiver room has a lot of names. There's a lot of depth there. It may not be that alpha number one, but they have a lot of names there, and there's a lot of depth that they have not had in previous years. And also, the offensive line is vastly improved from where it was a couple years ago. So I think the context surrounding Daniel Jones is almost just as important as talking about whether you actually think Daniel Jones is the guy too. But still, this year is a big prove-it year for Daniel Jones, even though he did just get the new contract.
Yeah, a lot of Giants fans forget. We have Wan'Dale Robinson, who got hurt. He was solid before he got hurt, so I'm looking forward to see what he has in the tank. But also, you mentioned the left tackle, Evan Neal. He's a big topic amongst Giants fans. You saw Andrew Thomas go off to a slow start, and Evan Neal got off to a slow start last year, but I have complete faith in him.
Justin, I got a question for you. You hear anything around the Giants with DeAndre Hopkins?
No, I haven't heard anything. It was interesting where Daboll gave the typical answer of, every player that is released, they're going to do their due diligence into looking into him. Unless the Giants do anything with either Saquon Barkley's contract or Leonard Williams' contract, I don't think they're going to be making any kind of bigger, splashier moves like a DeAndre Hopkins, or if another player were to get released from a team, or a big trade, maybe a trade that would involve somebody with the big cap hit. So unless they can get a Saquon Barkley extension or restructure Leonard Williams' deal by giving him an extension, I don't see any of those moves happening. But I mean, it's certainly fun. It would certainly be fun to add a guy like Hopkins to the team, right?
Yeah. Looking at the Giants schedule this year, who do you think is the most interesting opponent we have? Because we have the Jets on the schedule this year. Yeah. We have the Bills. This is going to be a fun year for Giants fans. And you mentioned before, it's going to be a preview year for Daniel Jones. We have a bunch of hard opponents, but we also have a bunch of easy opponents.
Yeah, the most interesting opponent, in division, all those games are extremely interesting. But I mean, you play those teams every year. The Giants' ability to win in their division this year is so vital, because I think they only won one game in their division last year. They lost the rest, and then they tied against the Commanders. So I don't know, what does that add up to? 1-4-1. That's not great. they benefited off of playing the AFC South last year, going undefeated in the AFC South, 4-0, and then the one game against Baltimore making it 5-0. So the in-division games, all of them were so enticing for the
They
Giants
also put the
this
NFC South. They also put the NFC South.
year. This year, and what was that last year?
Yeah, last year I think they put all 4 teams in the NFC South.
In the AFC South, yeah, for sure. With the Colts, the Jaguars, the Titans, and the Texans. But the game that I'm really looking out for early in this season, outside of the division stuff, the 49ers. The 49ers week 2 on Thursday Night Football. They have a really, really good defense. They have really, really good pass rushers. That's going to test the offensive line, and it's going to test this. Really the offense's ability to score points, to possibly produce explosive plays. They have a really good offense as well. It's going to, they have a good offensive line. It's going to test our defensive line's ability to get back there and hit the quarterback. We don't exactly know what quarterback is going to be back there for San Fran, but Kyle Shanahan's still a good coach. So that week 2 San Francisco game is one that I got circled on pretty early. It's going to be a pretty, if the Giants can at least play with the 49ers early in the season, with them being a good team, that'll make me feel good about, the rest of the season.
Justin, which rookie do you see making the biggest impact with the Giants this year?
Yeah, I think it's got to come down to John Michael Schmitz, the center, or Jalen Hyatt, right? It's tough because Hyatt is in a receiver room that has a lot of depth, and John Michael Schmitz is playing a position that I think interior offensive linemen kind of struggle a little bit in the NFL to kick off. And it's kind of been like a trend in the last couple of years. The reason why I don't say Deonte Banks, I have it between Hyatt and I have it between JMS. It's because corner is an extremely difficult position to transition to. I think the Sauce Gardners of the world, I think they're kind of like exceptions. I think most first round corners typically do struggle right away. So I don't think Deonte Banks is going to be like Eli Apple and he's going to be like really, really bad. But I think there could be some, there's going to be some really good moments for Tay Banks, and I think there's going to be some bad moments. I'll go with JMS. I think John Michael Schmitz is the most pro-ready player that we have drafted from this year's draft class. Ready to rock and roll, ready to play in the NFL, has that center experience, very polished in his technique and what he's got to do. It's just a matter of getting him up to speed and, getting him up to that play strength that, these interior defensive linemen in the NFL are bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, they're all the above. But I do think JMS is going to have the best and biggest impact out of everybody in this draft class.
What do you think is the Giants' biggest flaw right now?
What do the what?
The biggest flaw.
Biggest flaw.
Yeah.
Right now, it's their lack of producing explosive plays. They were last in the NFL last year in producing explosive pass plays, particularly. They did a solid job of producing them on the ground, but just their inability to have those big 20-plus yard passing plays or even, 40-yard scores, 50-yard scores, stuff like that. When you watch like Sunday Night Football and you see Herbert slinging it around, Mahomes slinging it around, Josh Allen having these big play touchdowns. That's not something that you see from the Giants. And I think that's held their offense back the last couple of years. And it was really impressive to see how their offense worked last year, despite not producing those big plays. But they went out and they got Darren Waller. They drafted Jalen Hyatt. They brought back Darius Slayton. They're bringing in a guy like Paris Campbell with a bunch of speed. They beefed up their offensive line. They're trying to beef up their offensive line by drafting John Michael Schmitz in the second round, right? So they're doing a lot of things to try and make this offense more vertical and try to get them, some more explosive pass plays. And I think that is what this offense needs to take that next step to becoming average. And then we're talking about possibly maybe even like a top 10 unit.
Also, I think they relied too much on Saquon. I would watch a game last year and I'd go, they're giving it to Saquon. They're giving it to Saquon. They'd give it to Saquon like every play. Either it was a running play or a passing play. This offense goes as Saquon goes, and you can't guarantee that Saquon's going to be healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a great point.
Also, Saquon, who knows? Maybe is he participating in OTAs? Do you know?
No. So he hasn't signed. He
might hold out.
I think he has until July 15th or the 17th, one of those days, July 15th or the 17th, to work out a long-term extension. And then if he doesn't, then he has to sign the tag. So that's the situation that we're in with him. He could hold out. He could not sign the tag, and he cannot hold out. I think it's going to come down to, it'll be, you know how there's a week before the regular season, but if there's a week after the last the last preseason game.
Yeah.
I think it's going to come down to that. I think he's going to miss all of camp. I think he's going to miss the preseason. And I think that week in between the start of the regular season, the last week of the preseason, that's when I think he's going to ultimately sign.
Can we do some rapid fire with you?
What was that?
Can we do some rapid fire with you?
Yes, rapid fire. I love rapid fire. Let's go.
Hey, you want to do it?
What?
You want to do the rapid fire?
I don't have it with me right now.
Okay. What is your favorite stadium other than MetLife?
My favorite stadium other than MetLife. I haven't been to that many. I went to Nashville last year. I didn't like that stadium, so that's throwing that out. I think I would love to go to LA. That stadium that they have out there in LA just looks so awesome. It looks so cool. Seeing other stadium or Dallas too. No, I'm changing my answer. Dallas, because even though it's not as new as some of the other ones, like Atlanta, Georgia, there's a new one. LA, they got the new one. Vegas, they have the new one. But Dallas is just a spectacle. There's like art in there. There's a bunch of stuff to do. So it's like on my bucket list to go to a Giants Cowboys game in Dallas. And it's like part of my bucket list too, is to take a bunch of like Talking Giants listeners and like you pay one price for like a hotel and airfare and stuff like that, and we all go and we're all going to watch the Giants beat the Cowboys. So Dallas, favorite stadium.
They don't beat the Cowboys in Dallas, and they don't beat the Eagles in Philadelphia.
Well, we're going to change. We're changing all
happening.
that this year. Changing all of that.
Yeah. Oh, what is your favorite NFL uniform?
My favorite NFL uniform.
Not including the Giants.
Not including the Giants. That's fair. Man. I used to love the Chargers. I used to love their colors. I'm gonna say I used to love the Falcons too. When Michael Vick played, and it was like the black and red jerseys with those classic helmets, but they changed their jerseys too. I'm thinking all of the uniforms for when I was growing up. The Colts are sticking out to me. I love the blue. I love the simplistic of the blue. I love the simplistic of the white and blue too. The Colts are sticking out, and that's what I'm going to go with. I used to love the Jaguars too, and then they changed theirs.
The Niners, the alternates, the three when the numbers pop out, the 3Ds, those are fire.
They have an awesome color scheme. The gold,
and the
Bengals. And the Bengals whiteout is also pretty nice.
Yes, Bengals is like the one uniform change that it's like, yeah, that makes sense, and I think it actually looks good.
The Chargers, the Chargers powder blues, and the Giants throwbacks. But you can't say the Giants. The Giants throwbacks are awesome.
Yeah, they are. It bothers me though. It bothers me how the jerseys are a different shade than the helmet. If they the throwback unis that they had against the Bears and the Commanders last year, if they made their helmets during those games the color rush helmets, I think it would be perfect. But I understand it's like the throwback thing of the color of the helmets in the 80s was like that dark blue, so I get it.
Yeah, but Jets fans, I hate to break it to you, but you guys also have some pretty nice. The black ones, the Jets black ones are pretty nice.
They are pretty nice.
Yeah. Who's one player in the NFL you hate that you should like? I mean, that you like that you should hate.
That I like that I should hate. That's I don't hate's a strong word. One player that I like, it's got to be a division rival, right? I loved growing up. I loved Tyron Smith. I loved watching him play tackle. I loved watching him, pull out. He used to be the left tackle for the Cowboys. He's like the right tackle now. But him pulling out in space and just being like an awesome offensive lineman for years is like, when I played football, I was like, oh, I aspire to be that. Who else? Terry McLaurin. I love Terry McLaurin. Yeah. Scary Terry. I mean, he has never had a good quarterback throwing the ball, yet he completely changes the game, almost every time that at least we play him. Like, he'll take over entire drives. So, Scary Terry. I should definitely not like him, but I very much do.
Favorite Giants moment?
Jay Alford, 2007. This is a little bit for your, but you know, like we all know 07-11 Super Bowl. So Jay Alford sacks Tom Brady the final drive of Super Bowl 42 in 2007. It was like an unknown player, like an undrafted free agent out of like Penn State, just comes in the final drive, sacks Tom Brady. It in the moment, it looked like he got ran over by, like Brady got ran over by a truck. Like in the moment, that's what it looked like. But then you look back on the hit, it's like, it wasn't that big of a hit. And it was that moment where it fully sat in for my 10-year-old self that the Giants were going to win the Super Bowl. So that's my favorite Giants moment.
Moving on from the Giants, talking about JM Warehouse, because you were the ump. What's it like just being in the warehouse for that competition?
Man, it's now that I'm starting to compete a little bit, it's awesome to not compete because it's intense. It's intense, man. The pressure is real. Like you think that it's just, a bunch of, we're all a bunch of friends in a warehouse and we're playing, stupid games, doing whatever. But the pressure and the intensity is real. It's a very friendly intensity. It's not, there's no like animosity or anything in it, but it's you want to win. And when you lose, you hate to lose. So being the umpire and seeing all the awesome moments without it being on any of my shoulders has been awesome. And then there's certain moments that that I'm part of, or an umpire can show off at times and do whatever. Umpire Kevin has done a much better job recently of showing off in certain events. And I've what I did in Blitzball Battle, this most recent one, is now that the pitchers were mic'd up and there was the players were all mic'd up, I was really listening. I was listening to the strategy that was taking place, and Jimmy or Trevor Plouffe will go out to the mound and talk to Jack, talk to whoever, talk to whoever's pitching, and it's just awesome to witness how much it's grown. And then even in the moment when it's happening, all of the legendary moments and the competition that happens, it's so crazy. We're a bunch of friends that we're all just competing in a warehouse, but the intensity and the competition part of it is real. So it's been really fun to be an umpire and to be part of those moments.
Justin, we have a question from the chat.
Yeah,
Ellie Mason wants your opinions on the Daniel Jones contract.
Daniel Jones contract. Daniel Jones's representatives did a very, very good job of structuring the deal in favor of him. He changed his team and he changed his representatives very late in the game. It was the season ended and they were about to start, Giants are going to sit down with Daniel Jones and his agents and his team and talk about, the contract extension. Right when that was about to start and that time should start, Daniel Jones fired his agency and he changed agencies. So it was whoa, why did he do that? Well, he did that because I think his old team was telling him, dude, what you're asking for is very unrealistic. The Giants are never gonna appease to this. So then he fired his old team, brought in some new people, and they aimed extremely high, $49 million per year. Daniel Jones is never getting $49 million per year. And the Giants were looking at slightly above the franchise tag, which I think was around 32, 33 per year. So there's the huge discrepancy. So they finally met in the middle at around $40 million a year. And that is a huge win for Daniel Jones, getting $40 million for, a guy that has, one playoff victory and really only one good season and one injury-free season with that too. Huge win for Daniel Jones. I think the way that it's structured, it's good for the team because you have this year where it's $25 million. You have next year where it's the big cap hit. And then you can kind of maybe wiggle yourself out of it if it goes bad after next year or maybe even after 2025. But it's also good for Daniel Jones because he's getting paid. And that's at the end of the day, Daniel Jones is getting paid. And he is getting more than maybe he should be, but that's also the nature of kind of quarterback contracts in this day of age.
Yeah, last question here before we go. We did this with BBD. We asked him about Max Manus and it blew up. So what are your thoughts on Max Manus?
Man, again, we were talking before we came on, I think, and I love Max Manus's brain. There's a couple people in the company like Dalton Feely is another one too. I know you know him from the warehouse. He's like a researcher, and Max Manus kind of got his start with the company being like this big time major researcher for talking baseball, talking Yanks. all the stats and the good stuff that those shows, those awesome, great big shows that they had for years, it was Max Manus. He was providing the stats and the numbers for Talking Yanks. He was providing them for Talking Baseball. So Max Manus's brain, I'm jealous because I wish that he was like a football guy, because then I would lean on him and his brain. Like, what do you think about this? Can you look this up for me? Let me know what you think. So Max Manus's brain is something that I can't even aspire to strive to be like him, because there is nothing like the way that his mind and his brain works. So he's the man. He's the myth. He's the legend. And he's awesome.
Does he watch football?
He's a Giants fan. But I mean, I'll tell you what. If you're so, and I'm in this myself now. Like, as the years have kind of gone on, and now that football's like part of my job, I've watched a little bit less baseball. I'm still a big Yankee game. I'll still go to games and everything like that. But he is probably so knee deep in the weeds of baseball that, like, he'll watch the Giants, but not, nowhere, to the level of like myself or probably you guys either. But, that's what makes Max so great, is that like Max Manus is baseball. That's what he is.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Giants and the Yankees. Like, I wouldn't say equally. I like the Yankees more. I certainly like the Giants, but not the same with the Knicks and Islanders. I like the Yankees and Giants on a whole different level. Yeah. Anything else before we wrap up?
Yeah. What can we expect from you in Blitzball?
What you can expect from me in Blitzball. For right now, I'd say where I'm at is Challenger Series. I love pitching. I really do. I think I got a wicked two-seamer that I have like a grip that nobody has like ever seen before. I have one pitch. I got to develop some more pitches, but I throw strikes. So I think pitching, I have a shot. I don't know how much, the Blitzball battle is going to grow. I don't know what their plans are in terms of, adding new talent and adding new athletes to the tournament. But my plans for Blitzball is I need to start hitting. I need to get in the batting cages. I need to start hitting the tee. I need to get my reps in at the warehouse. But pitching, I'm there. I'm throwing strikes. So I want to compete more as time goes on. So you'll be seeing more of me in the warehouse for sure.
And if you're ever struggling, just remember you're always better than Joe's McFly.
Joe's is getting hot. Joe's got hot at the end of the tournament. He recorded his first out. He hit the grand slam, so Joe's McFly's getting hot.
Who's the MVP? In your opinion, who's the MVP?
Who's the MVP?
Joe's McFly.
I'll tell you who I voted. I voted Sammy. I voted Sammy.
Sammy, I will say, Sammy pitching, like, his teammate was better. So that's where, Sammy hitting, but everybody loves the home runs. Everybody loves the home runs, man. Lou Dab's my MVP. How do you like that? I know they didn't make it, and I know the MVP usually you gotta, but I love, like, Lou Dab is one of my favorite people in the world, so there's a little bias there. But Lou Dab's my MVP.
Thank you, Justin, for coming on. Hopefully the Giants have a good year this year. Hopefully you'll come on before the Giants season, during the Giants season, and the Giants, they're going to be Super Bowl champions this year. Let's go. Giants, Jets this year in Vegas. Book it.
Book it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming on.